Hey everyone, welcome to Be the Connection, where we talk about and share stories on community, mentorship, and success. And today we have a super important person in my life who has been such a great mentor and is, I'd say, very successful, killing it in real estate and without all the spiels and shiny things that people get distracted by. Welcome, Jason Bates. Thank you for hopping on. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Share, a little bit about your background, where you're at. I know you're in an RV right now.
Yeah, how cool is that? Well, first of all, B, I want to thank you for doing this. I personally think rhetoric is a lost art. So just being able to get on and have a conversation, I think is powerful. And like you said before we got on camera, is these stories need to be shared, right? It's sometimes things seem difficult. It's not hard. It's just harder than we want it to be. And like you said, having mentorship, even I mean, I know I'm successful. I've done a lot of successful things, but I didn't do it by myself. I did it because I put myself out there. I asked for help. I pay a lot of money every year for mentorship, but I will also tell you that for every dollar I spend, I make $10 in return. So it's well worth the return on investment. So a little bit about me. I'm a real estate investor. I started a couple years ago in single family, of course, all of them creative. Got my wife and I got a little bit we didn't like how slow it was going, right? So we were collecting doors, but it just wasn't happening fast enough. And as you know, if you really want true generational wealth, you've got to have a lot of doors and a lot of cash flow, especially if you've got two people that want to walk away from their W-2. So at the end of 2023, we said, look, we've got to make a pivot. And we decided that at the end of 2023, we were going to get into multifamily. So the first quarter of 2024, we just delved into how multifamily worked, right? And then we started thinking, okay, well, being a landlord is cool, but how much cooler would it be if you could interact with guests instead of tenants? And that's what kind of led us down the path of RV park investing, especially because in RV parks, you've got all the benefits of multifamily. So instead of individual doors, you have individual pads, but you don't have tenants, you have guests because people come in, they enjoy the experience, and then they leave. Hopefully, like we're taught when we're kids, you always leave a campground better than you found it. That's the same way when we interact with people at our RV parks. We want to leave them better than we found them, knowing that when they go home, they're going to talk about how amazing their vacation was and how incredible their experience was. And they want as many of their friends to do it with them next time. So that's really the power of RV parks versus apartment complex. Now, I am not anti-apartment complex. It's just right now the market is not right for apartment complexes, so we put that on the back burner. And I also like laundromats. I also like storage units. But like we were talking about earlier, it's all about focus. It's about avoiding the shiny object syndrome. So Eric and I made a pact that said we were going to spend at least 6 months just focusing on one asset class, and that asset class was RV parks. Now that since extended because we were learning so much, we were having so much fun. We created some amazing partnerships. We started a fund, we raised private capital. Long story short, we closed on our first RV park March of this year. So as you can see, it wasn't a quick turn slam dunk. You pay for the mentorship and you get an instant return, but the return was definitely there because we made money in the acquisition and we're going to make money owning the property and we're going to make money when we sell. More importantly, we've created a churn now where now we've got multiple RV parks in the pipeline. We've got multiple offers out there. In fact, I'm flying out Sunday with another business partner to walk 3 RV parks that are next in the
Wow,
queue. So
that's
yeah,
amazing.
thank you for that. And I recommend for anybody out there doing any kind of real estate, I don't care if it's single family, multifamily, RV parks, apartments, you walk that property personally before you sign a contract. Now, we always send out LOIs saying that a contract is dependent on walking the property, but we want to make sure we know exactly what we're getting into because there are some really amazing photographers out there and you don't always see in real life what you saw in an
Yeah.
OM.
Yes, yes. Now, you shared that guest experience, building that relationship with your guests, right? So, Sergio and I, my husband, we RV'd for 2 years
Mhm.
full time.
I love it.
And I can say in the RV community, there is such a close niche where, you build a family relationships with each other in your own RV park. You get your regulars, and then you have your seasonal people who come every so often. And you really take care of each other. It really is a family. You become very close. And that's one thing that really sets apart different parks too. And I can definitely tell, like the one where we were, I didn't want to leave. I was like, no, I'm too attached to our park managers, like, and the owners. And it was such, everybody looked out for each other. They were there for each other, especially during crazy weather, right? Where are you at?
So we first started our journey on the Gulf Coast because beach towns are fun. In fact, that's the park we left was in Rockport, right near the Gulf Coast there. And you said it when you said community. RV parks are a community. People don't pack up their family, their kids, their pets to drive to vacation in an apartment complex, but they'll do that to drive to an RV park. And we have met more friends. I mean, we've had met more people around the campfire, having drinks, chit chatting, talking about dreams, talking about future with people at parks than we have with anybody else. Now we find ourselves about 90 minutes west of Dallas, and it's just beautiful. It's
Mm.
green and lush. We're right on a river, beautiful trees, gorgeous landscape. And it's fun. It's different. Beach towns are different, but that's what makes RV parks so cool. So you can say, like, I want to go to a beach town, or I want to go to a mountain town, or I want to go to a place that has events like NASCAR racing, or near a major amusement park, or near a national monument. And so that's what makes RV park investing so dynamic, is because you can just choose your niche within the niche, right?
Yes.
We really like to focus on destinations and event driven RV parks, and we've been pretty successful finding some really good deals in that particular space.
So tell me, because RV living is a whole different field of just living in what they call bricks and sticks.
Oh, yeah, brick and mortar. You're right on. Yep.
So it's different, but you can still have that same type of luxury feeling, up to date. You're not stranded living in the old times. Have still the comfort of today's norm.
Yeah, and let me tell you about our RV. Our RV is what, 50 feet long. It's got three different sections, so we've got three air conditioners. So we're never short uh, of being able to cool down. This particular unit also has solar. It has a washer and dryer. It has a generator. It has four TVs. Would I have bought four TVs? No, but that's what it came with. So each section of the house has a TV, and then outside has a TV. So let's say you just want to sit outside in a gorgeous evening. And I remember I was barbecuing before the Super Bowl because two lots down from where we were staying, they were doing a big Super Bowl party, and I was watching the pregame as I was barbecuing outside.
Mm.
And so that is really awesome. So you're right. I have all the luxuries at home. I have 1.5 baths. I have a full kitchen with a cooktop, dishwasher, oven. Outside, I got a smoker and a barbecue. It's just more intimate, right? You're close to the people you hang out with. In fact, we had some really, really close personal friends come spend the weekend with us last weekend, and we weren't cramped. We had fun. We got to play games, and they got to experience the RV life, which I think everybody should. And that's one of the reasons why when we go after RV parks, we find other ways for people to experience it who may not own an RV, because everybody seems to be excited about the RV lifestyle, but not quite sure if they want to invest in $100,000 rig or even a $50,000 rig.
Yeah. Do you think there's this stigma too, where people think that living in an RV is perhaps outside of even just a real estate business, right? Have this misconception of what RV living is?
Yeah, and that's a great point. And I see this as an investor too. So you've got mobile home parks. And so when you think RV, that's the first thing people think, or they think trailer park. But those are different business assets, right? So a mobile home park is actually a really good asset, but now you're back to being a landlord again because now people are renting a spot and they're living there full time, right? Whereas RVs being recreational vehicles, people are just vacationing. Now, yes, there are some people that do like to stay longer because, like here in Texas, there's so many major projects going on, from wind farms to solar farms to natural gas to oil. And a lot of those workers are out in, different areas, and they don't want to live out of a hotel room. So they much rather have a home they could come home to, even if it's smaller than a traditional home. But I would argue that our current RV is bigger than a lot of apartment complexes I've seen in downtown Dallas. So with that being said, I feel like I have a ton of room.
Yeah. Do you ever think about or reflect on how, did you ever see yourself here? Would you have ever pictured yourself here, years ago, where
That's
you're
a
at now?
that is a great question, because it was funny, because when we made the decision to invest in RV parks, it naturally flowed to, well, let's make the decision to live in an RV park, because it's kind of like being those undercover boss, right? Because you get to, because we don't tell people we own the place. We just say we're here to we represent the owners. And so we get to hear firsthand what people love, what they don't love. And then we could take that back and feed that back to the team on how we can improve. Now, here's the really cool thing is it really gets you to look at all the stuff we hold on to in life. There's so much we hold on to in life. Well, when you got to downsize and live in an RV, you have to let that go. And trust me, B, it is so freeing to just get rid of all the stuff. I mean, I remember getting rid of stuff that I had for 20 years and I don't know why I had it. I just knew I had to keep it. But when you know you have to get rid of it, that's more powerful than knowing you have to keep it. And so it really allowed us to downsize to the essentials. And we're not living primitively. We have all the things that we had in a home. We just don't have as much of it because we don't need it. That's basically what it came down to. We realized, oh, we don't need all that stuff. We don't need the knickknacks and the things to move around in dust. We don't need all the special furniture. We have everything we need here. We have a desk and we have a separate room with couches and TV, and it's a full living room.
Yeah.
And then we have
You'd be
a
surprised how much
yeah,
storage those things have.
they're huge. They're huge. I mean, we have a king size bed with a bunch of storage underneath in a compartment underneath the bed. So yeah, it's incredible. But it really allowed us to streamline our living. But then again, it streamlines your bills, right? You're not paying for as much stuff. You're not paying for storage of as much stuff. You're not buying as many things, and so you really just live in life as life comes along, and that's so freeing. I mean, we could literally just throw our computers in a backpack, jump on a plane, and wherever we land, that's our office that day. And as a transaction coordinator, which I am as well. I didn't mention that earlier. I've done transactions from Puerto Rico, from South America, from Florida. I mean, I think I've TC'd physically in a half a dozen different states, even though we can TC in all 50 states. But just having that flexibility of just being able to throw your laptop and your cell phone in your backpack in your offices wherever you land. And it's like that for a whole real estate business. We have ran our real estate business mobilely since we started.
That's
So
awesome.
that's been
Wow.
incredible, and the reason why I say that is so many people wanna start a new business and they wanna buy all these I need to get an office, and I need to get computers, and I need to hire staff, and no, Erica and I run our business with 2 MacBooks and 2 iPhones and a printer, and then wherever we land, that's our office.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I've actually posted before about my stages of, desks and setups, right? From when I very, very first started in real estate, very started in sub two as a transaction coordinator, just the steps along the way and how it gradually improves. And it doesn't have to be a whole lot either. So that's
So
awesome. Now, what was it that made you actually dive into real estate? Like, what was the switch that just, this is it. This is what I want to do. What made
yeah.
you change?
So first of all, you eventually, as you get to a certain age, you just get frustrated having to work for other people and helping other people get rich. So you go, okay, I've got to find a way out. That's number one. And then number two, you go, wait a minute, I don't know if I can live off my 401k for the rest of my life. I really don't know where the stock market is going. Changes in government, and I'm not going to get into politics. Changes in government changes the way the real estate market behaves, and so it just seemed very volatile, and I just couldn't see spending the rest of my life on something that could be that volatile. And we know that real estate has been a solid investment for centuries, basically. I mean, as long as people have had money and people have had assets, transactions happen. And it seems like the real estate is the one thing, even if let's just say right now, there's a huge dip in the real estate market in the entire US. I've got properties in Colorado, Texas, Arizona, and Florida. And, Florida, Arizona, and Colorado, all those housing prices have dropped. But you wouldn't know it because they're still cash flowing. I'm still making money every month. So at the end of the day, I don't care that the market is cyclical. All that I care is that every year I get to write off the depreciation. Every year I get to pocket the cash flow.
Awesome. What are some major challenges and lessons that you've learned along the way, especially coming this far? I mean, how many years now has it been since you've been in the real estate game?
About 3 years, and I
Years.
would say the biggest challenge where you're going to make your most money in real estate is understanding the underwriting. So
Mhm.
my wife is an expert underwriter. There's just no other way to say it, right? And some of the problems I see, and I'm seeing this in the RV space now, is you've got a lot of single family investors, people that have bought single family investments or even done fix and flips, and they're taking what they know in single family and they're trying to replicate it into multifamily underwriting, and it's not a one for one. You can't just say, well, I underwrite a single house, I just got to underwrite 10 doors. It's a lot different than that because when you get into multifamily, even in the RV park space, you're buying a business. And so the business is really what's up here. And then the real estate portion is behind that, right? So in multifamily, you're not buying necessarily the real estate asset, you're buying the business, that you're buying the net operating income, and then your ability to grow that over time so that you can sell the business for a profit. Now, ideally, having it backed by real estate makes it a more solid investment. But really, at the end of the day, and this is what we're seeing in the RV park space, is sellers are basing it on the current value of the real estate and the future performa of the asset. But really, you got to buy it based on the current net operating income, what the business is doing today, knowing that our challenge will be to get it to a performa in 2 to 3 years so that we can sell it in 5 to 6 years. Does that make sense?
Amazing.
So
Yes. Man,
that's really
wow.
the challenge. So, I recommend everybody out there get into multifamily for sure, but either understand underwriting inside and out or bring somebody on your team that understands it inside and out, because underwriting will make or break a deal. It's whether or not you've thrown your investors' money away or you can give them the kind of returns that you promise. It all happens in the underwriting. And I'm talking about hours upon hours of underwriting and going back and forth with sellers and locking it in. And then it starts all over again when you go into due diligence. So once you're under contract and you're going under due diligence, then you're peeling back all the layers of the accounting, all the layers of the expenses, and you're updating your underwriting to say, okay, this was accurate, this wasn't. And then you start making adjustments. Why is that important? Because in this particular deal that we closed on in March, we found some discrepancies in the actuals from 2024 that actually got us to renegotiate the purchase price lower by $250,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a big chunk of money, right? So now if we went in and we overpay by $250,000, we have a much bigger hurdle to overcome for our investors. Because again, when you raise capital for multifamily, you have investors to answer to, and you have a fiduciary responsibility to handle their money not only ethically, but in a way that shows that you're going to get returns for them so that they start getting paid back.
Yeah. And so working with other investors, right? You really have to connect and build a network, especially when it comes to RV. You're raising capital, you're doing things like you have different roles, right? There's people on your team that have different roles. So, how do you build those relationships? How did you come into, connecting with the people that you connect with and coming together, building your team and networking to build a successful business?
Yeah, that you're absolutely right. I mean, anybody who says when you're in real estate you're not in the relationship business, they're wrong, because that's all you're in. Because people open their checkbook to friends, people open their checkbooks to people they know. I remember we partnered with another fund, and that fund was the primary fundraiser. Our job primarily was acquiring the asset and and getting it purchased and across the finish line. A lot of what got asked is, well, okay, well, we don't mind investing with you guys, but who are the other members of your group? We know you, but we don't know them. So that was a big part of the process, was to be able to build those relationships, not just with our partners, but for the people who are willing to write $100,000 checks, right? You've got to let them know, because at the end of the day, they're not investing in the asset; they're investing in us. They're investing in our ability to operate, our ability to generate additional revenue, our ability to report profits. That's what they're investing in. So you're right. At the end of the day, building a network. And here's the thing about networking, it happens every day. It happens when I sit down on an airplane to the person next to me. It happens when I'm standing behind somebody in line at the grocery store. I am networking with everybody all the time, because everybody is a potential investor. And if they're not an investor, they're at least someone that has some kind of talent that I'm going to need in the future. Or, like you said, I can connect them with somebody who needs that in the future. And that's really powerful, because when you become somebody that other people can come to, because either you can get stuff done or you can give them people who can get stuff done, that makes you
Mhm.
super powerful. So, your ability to influence other people and provide value to other people is really the key to networking. Then at the end of the day, they're going, oh, you got an investment? I'd be happy to take a look at it. I've got some money to invest. And so it
Yeah.
becomes easy. So at the end of the day, you got to be networking 24/7, because when you need money, it's too late. You have
Yeah.
to have those relationships in place so that when you go to ask for money, they go, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I saw you were working on that. I was wondering when you're going to come. Because believe it or not, when you have really good deals, people go, why didn't you pitch that to me? I would have loved to get in on that deal.
Hmm.
So, yes, always constantly building relationships, always constantly giving value, and then always asking when you end a networking interaction, your last word should be, okay, now what can I do for you? What is it that you're excited about? What is it that I can do to help you achieve your dream? Because then they go, okay, well, this isn't a transactional relationship. This person really cares about what I'm doing and they want to be involved. Those are the people that are going to want to invest in the future. And those are the people that I will invest with in the future as well.
So, what is one daily habit or mindset shift that you made that was a huge difference that helped, especially with networking, building your business? What was that daily habit or mindset shift for you?
Yeah, so it really came down to gratitude, right? So, and I know a lot of people they like to journal. What I like to do is I like to start the day with three things that I'm trying to be grateful for throughout that day, right? So I'm always like, because in any situation we all get hit with things that come out of left field, right? But in any situation, God blesses us with the ability to find the gift in it, right? There's always a gift in anything. So your job is to find what that gift is, and then at the end of the day, I kind of like to do a personal retrospective that says, here are the things I'm thankful for today. It might be the things I was going after this morning, but it might be something else. But either way, I'm leading my life with gratitude, whether it's someone I got to meet, someone I got to help, something I got to learn. I always get excited when I get to learn something new. That's why I think failure is so much fun, because we don't fail, we learn. And every time I have an opportunity to learn this, it just pumps me up. And then I guess that would be the other thing, right? Is understanding that failure isn't the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. I don't know if anybody on the planet that has ever been successful and said, no, I didn't fail in anything. I made no mistakes. Because if somebody came to me and said they wanted to join my team and they said they've never had any failures or any mistakes, then my response would be, you just have no experience. Go out there and get some experience, fail at a few things, and then come back and talk to me. And then I'd love to have you on my team.
Yeah. I remember even you telling me too, especially in moments where I'm in tears and it's like, hey, those tears are what's going to help you grow.
Yep.
It's just going through that and coming
What
out
did
of
I
it.
tell you? What does a garden need to grow? It needs water. So when the
Yep.
tears come out, that means you're about to grow. So what that tells me is you were about to grow, and boy, did you. In a 2-week span on
Yeah.
that conversation, you blew up, including this podcast, right? So this podcast was a brainchild of yours to say, look, I've got to do something different. Because here's the thing I've noticed about successful people out there: they're not better than me. They're just doing it different. Once I figure out what they're doing different, then that's the game changer, right? So, which is why we talked about earlier. Mentorship is more important, right? Because
Hmm.
I'll be honest, I don't know what I don't know. So investing in mentorship and then me paying it back to others by mentoring others has been the key to how I've been able to be so successful and pivot so quickly, because it didn't happen overnight. Nothing ever does. People think you do. People will always say, man, you're lucky. Well, I'm lucky today, but for the last 20 years to get here, wasn't so lucky.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's about consistency and putting in the work. And we talked about this earlier, not only being able to ask for help, but to be able to accept help. That's really the key, right? And the biggest
Yes.
gift we can give anybody is to allow them to help us,
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
which is what you did, right? You basically came out and asked for help. And then the best gift you gave me is I gave you a bunch of stuff and you took action. Did you take action on everything? You didn't have to. You just had to take action on something, and that created momentum. And then once you had momentum, then your ideas started flowing and you were coming out with all kinds of stuff. And that's all you needed. You just needed to get past that roadblock. Because here's the way the brain works. People think, well, I need either option A or option B. We think it's very discrete, right?
Hmm.
That's the problem, is there's always multiple options, but our creativity gets shut off because we get stuck in that moment. So asking somebody for help, asking for another set of eyes that have a global perspective of the problem you're dealing with, that can see it differently, can kind of help you go, okay, yeah, it's not either on or off. It's not either yes or no. There is option 3, 4, and 5. And that's what you experienced, right? You said, oh, I either have to do this or I have to do that. And then you and I talked and you go, okay, I've got 10 things I could do now. And
Yep.
that's powerful. And that's why you're where you are right now. And you're on a great trajectory. And I just say, keep continuing that momentum, because I've fallen for this too. I'll have a couple of successful moments and I'll just sit back and I'll just rest on my laurels and say, man, look how cool I am. And then I realize, oh my gosh, I haven't done anything lately. And I don't want to
Hmm.
become stagnant. So I do my victory lap for being really cool. And then I go try something different, or I move on from where I was.
And keeping that accountability too. Like you said, the consistency. So, having that mentorship and meeting with them. And even when you're having those wins, still meeting with them, see what it is that you can continue to grow in. Yeah, I completely and wholeheartedly agree. You, as one of my mentors, like, thank you, because look, we're doing
Yeah,
it.
you're welcome.
So, and
It's funny you were talking about that, because I will tell you, one of the biggest limiting beliefs I run into people is they go, "Oh, I already know how to do that," or "I already know that." Well, as soon as you close the doors to say, "I know everything," you're done. Not your limiting belief's going to stop you from growing, because I believe nobody knows everything. I mean, Look at Elon Musk. I mean, the guy's gone to space. He's done, alternative powered vehicles, gotten into solar, and he's still coming up with new ideas every day. Because we always want to keep challenging ourselves and challenging the people around us to just be better versions of ourselves. And it's just so awesome to see your growth, even just recently in the last quarter of this year. It's been tremendous, and you really should be
Thank
proud of yourself.
you.
You absolutely should be proud of yourself.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really do. And like you said, it takes time. It's not instant for sure. And I think that's one of the things that in today's society, we've been trained to just want it instant gratification, right? Just scroll and just look it up and get it. But it takes time, especially for success, right? What would be one piece of advice that you would give someone feeling lost or unsure where to start in their journey?
That's awesome. So, I mean, we've all heard the saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So I'll talk to a little bit about my mentor, Michael Bernoff, and he's taught me a lot about communication and basically building the life you want. And basically, he has a mantra, and it's called decide and do. That's it. It's just two words, one simple step. Make a decision and do it. That's it. That's all you have to do. Because people go, well, how are you so confident? Well, confidence comes from making a decision. And so I always lead my life based on outcomes. So I'm always going for an outcome in life. And the beauty about that is I'm either heading towards an outcome or I stop for a second and go, no, that's not the outcome I want. And then it allows me to pivot. And then when I pivot, I'm not stuck. Right. And so you make a decision and do it. If you got what you wanted out of that decision, great. Now go make another choice. If you didn't get what you wanted out of that decision, great. You go make another choice. But it really is that simple. And I know people want to say, well, it can't be that simple. It's got to be difficult. It needs to be difficult for life to be successful. And I really have to overcome something to be a winner. Absolutely not. Life can be easy, and that's okay. That was my biggest aha moment in life, is going, I don't have to self sabotage it and make it harder. It can be easy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take the easy. Now, is it easy all the time? No, but that's okay too. I enjoy the challenge, but now I'm not purposely sabotaging myself to make everything challenging. So
Yes.
really, that's really the best advice I can give you, is decide and do. That's it. That's all it
It
takes.
has to do a lot with the mindset too, the mind shift and just really making that mindful effort.
Right. And I'm not going into it going, oh my God, what happens if I made the wrong decision? Then I make a new one. People get stuck in paralysis because they go, well, what if that's not the right decision? And they want to analyze it every which way from Sunday. You just got to make a decision and do it. And if it's not getting you what you want, you just make a new decision. That's it. I mean, I wish I could make it more difficult, but I can't.
Yeah, that is too funny. Oh my goodness. Wow. So huge thank you again for coming on and sharing your piece and just really encouraging others where to start. And because I think it's important to share with others that we're not here on our own. It takes a community, it takes mentorship, and the fruits of our labor is what they're seeing, right? Is what success is how we continuously develop ourselves. And, how can anyone reach out to you, start networking, and how can they start networking? Invest in learning, right? Whether if it's underwriting, learning what type of strategies they want to work in when investing, and reaching out to people, reaching out to, for help, advice, mentorships. Tell me, how can people get a hold of you, reach you, even if you're looking for fundraising? So if you're looking to have investors.
We are doing a fund to fund program. So if there's people watching this that want to do a fund, yes, definitely reach out. So first of all, B, I just want to say you pulled a string on something that I want to continue on. And first of all, this is another quote from Michael Bernoff: is none of us were born to be average, right? We were all born to be exceptional. So go out and find what makes you exceptional. So that's number one. Number two, if you just go on to Instagram and look up Jason Bates Invests, that's the best way to get a hold of me. I'm willing to talk about anything from mindset to real estate to raising private capital in a fund to RV park investing, you name it. Transaction coordination. If you've got a creative deal out there, BNI and Finish Line TC Services are there for you. But the point is, reach out, because if you can reach out to one person, you've already started the process of networking, right? You don't have to reach out to 100 people. You just got to reach out from one, make the connection, make that decision to reach out to one person, feel how comfortable it is to connect with somebody, go, got it. Okay, that's easy. And then do it again. So again, Instagram is the best way to get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook as well. but Instagram is the one I pay more attention to.
Okay. Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I hope you truly take something from this and know that you're not alone. We're here to help and want to make sure that you have a better version of yourself, for not just yourself, for everyone else around you, and that you're able to see you can do it. We'll see you on the next episode.